Hello again, I'm Quinn, and these are not bonsai. They are my Scheffleras. I have your pretty common variety here. You can find these just about anywhere, even I'm pretty sure I bought this at a grocery store. It's a dwarf Schefflera. And I also have a little variegated version over here. And I've recently found this, I believe it's a large leaf Schefflera, or maybe umbrella plant. If that isn't its common name, it certainly should be. These leaves are just giant, and these I feel like are still pretty new because you might be able to see in here. I chopped this guy more than in half when I got him. He was considerably larger, and as you may know, I just don't have the space to have even really a plant of this size. But I figured I would cut it, leave the roots alone, let it begin growing, which it's done pretty well and continues to do over the winter here. And I'm hoping next spring I'm just going to continue letting it grow. I don't think I'll be repotting it yet, but you know, that's just one of those things you kind of just ponder and we'll make that decision when it's a little more conducive to repotting these guys. On that note, though, I have this little cutting, which has just been a real big surprise to me. Because when I got this over the summer, this was a little sucker growing out of the roots here, or the root base. And I chopped it off, and I put it in some soil, and I watered it, and this is still its original leaves, and it just kind of sat there, and it didn't do a thing. And I eventually got a little kind of frustrated, not really frustrated, but I just kind of gave up on it. And I just said, heck, I'll throw it in some water here and just see what happens. Not expecting anything to happen, considering it had already been in the soil for a few months. And then I put it in here, and just a few weeks back, I look in there and I notice it's growing roots after 5 to 6 months from being cut off of this root base. So I feel obligated to plant it because I feel like it might, at this point, be wanting some fertilizer of some sort that it's just not getting from my rainwater there. I do collect rainwater, which is pretty easy to do here in Seattle. And then I bought a little fish tank heater from the thrift store, which is where I buy just about everything. And I use that to bring it up to temp because when I bring it inside it's pretty chilly, and you don't want to give these tropical guys chilly water. So I bring it up to temp, give him a nice little water with that rainwater, which he's in here now. Because I had considered waiting till spring to put him in a pot, but I think at this rate he's even beginning to grow another little shoot here, so I feel like he's probably ready to get in some soil. And it gives me the opportunity to kind of do a little show and tell here with my Scheffleras, because something I'm going to be real big on here on our channel is progression. I found that I enjoy those quite a bit. I like to just line up other people's playlists and kind of start at the beginning of the plant's journey and watch it progress through. That's a lot of fun for me. And for my own personal benefit, I feel like these guys are never growing because I see them every single day. So getting some good pictures and video will help me be able to kind of see the progress, because I realize they are in fact growing. I just can't really see it as well since I interact with them so constantly. So let me do a little cleanup here, and we're going to try to find a good pot to put him in. I've got a little selection here in my room. I'm guessing from his root growth in his little glass there, he's going to be rather vigorous, and being so new, I do want him to grow quite a bit, so I'm going to try to pick a larger pot, though I'm just so fond of these thin ovals. I feel like they just look good with just about everything, and I may do that. Let's put him there, just in case I have a good little selection over here. Maybe something like this would be good for my space. Oh, you can see a price tag there, $1.99, maybe even half off. Sometimes the Goodwill does half off of colors. This would be a good basic one, I think. Probably going to be the route I go. It'll be a little deep, give him some room to grow. This could be kind of a nice one. I like the color on it. And it's pretty small. Another thing I don't like about this one, it has a lip here, which, you know, if you let your plant go a little too long in there, it can be a little hard to get out, but it's not really too big of a deal. I think we'll go with those three. Kind of get it out, see how the roots look in it, and then we'll pop them in one of his pots. All right, let's get him out of here. Start checking out how he looks in some of our pots. Now, like I said earlier, I'd just gotten this large leaf variety pretty recently. And like I said, it's growing well enough. I feel like I'm probably underwatering it. Because at least in the wintertime, I'm pretty sure I do underwater given the amount of light my things get with all of my LED grow lights and things. But I'd rather them be a little underwatered than a little overwatered, that's for sure. So let's take a look here at our roots first off. So, and they look like they would fit in there pretty well. Give them some room to grow. Nothing crazy. Like I said, that's a good size for the amount of space I have. And these other Scheffleras, they've just been really easy, except for one of them had scale last year, and I did find a single mealybug on the other one. But it didn't seem to affect them too much because they do grow really well. And the roots on these other dwarf Scheffleras anyways are really fun. The very first one I got, the just green one I had showed you that I said I got at the grocery store, I actually put that, it was much like this, a cutting, they're almost always a cutting. I put that right on top of, I think I just cut some plastic off of like an old nursery pot and made kind of like a cone or triangle shape, and I placed the cutting on top of it. And then I put soil on top of and underneath and around that plastic and the cutting space. And it grew all down the plastic and even ramified in that first kind of growing session, but none of the roots grew vertically down. So it kind of started it off with a really nice radial root base. So I'm really excited to see how he's looking once we pull him out for what will be his third repotting. So this one I feel like might just be a better fit size-wise. It's not quite as large. It's a little more shallow. I think it might just be a better fit for his tiny roots at the time. Because I don't want him to have too much soil to grow into there. So plop him back in his glass. I'm going to get a little base layer of soil down in my pot here. No matter what pot I'm filling up, it always seems to hold more soil than I thought it would. Alright. Put him down in there just a little bit. And just cover him up with some soil. And thankfully, one of my Scheffleras had some of my anchor rocks on it, which have done their job for it. Both of these dwarf Scheffleras over here, which I'll show you, have definitely grown enough roots to hold themselves into their respective pots. So, let me get a little zoom out here and we'll look at our finished product. And this would kind of be my first propagated cutting other than a succulent. So it's kind of fun for me and exciting. Like I said, I did not expect it to have any roots. So let's put him for safekeeping over on my shelf here while he recovers a bit. I'll give you a look at these dwarf ones. And they aren't really in need of any work. For this guy, I just want to take a look at him and clip off some of these bottom lower leaves. Those were the ones that were originally on it. And I, much as I do, chopped it to get all this branching. And then one day, we'll go in there and select the ones we want, but for now, we're just letting it grow, which it seems to be doing quite well. Let me see if I can show you here. Two things. There's some little roots coming out of the soil and growing over the side. And these little guys, which may be hard to identify, it's actually a little hens and chickens succulent that I basically just tortured, and so it stayed very small, and it's grown out kind of weird and long. So I think this little Schefflera is fine for now. I'll give him a little water. And I'll go back to happily growing through our winter, hopefully. Being the older of the two, has a good bit of aerial or surface roots, just kind of growing along the top here. And you can see actually, this is where I just removed one of those anchor rocks I use. And a neat thing about those is it kind of creates this safe little barrier where the moisture somewhat retains on the surface, but can't really pool or rot any roots. So your roots can kind of grow right underneath those rocks and be nice and happy and healthy. So I may actually want to put a rock back there just to protect those nice roots I've got going. So here we are, my little Scheffleras, all done. I'm ready to go back into their respective lights. And hopefully, sometime maybe June-ish or so, we'll pull some of the littler ones out here and give a look at the roots and see what we've got. Look forward to the progression of my little Scheffleras. Well, thanks again for joining me here on NotBonsai.